In looking at this assignment and deciding on who to interview to find out what makes an effective leader, many people may decide to interview someone higher up in the corporate role, as a manager and as leader. I decided to do something different and interview someone whose choices could mean the difference between life and death and ultimately affect the surrounding community. I'm Chris Ward, and I interviewed Ian Adams. Ian is someone with over 29 years of experience as a paramedic, a firefighter, and an explosive ordnance disposal technician. Looking back at his many years of experience, Ian talked about his three key skills to being an effective leader: how he developed as a leader later on in his career versus his leadership style earlier on in his career, and one of the biggest leadership pitfalls to avoid. To start, the three key skills Ian believes all good leaders must possess are communication, trust, and patience. Communication is key to having a free flow of communication to and from team members. Trust is instrumental because the trust between team members makes them more willing to accomplish the tasks that need to be done, and in an more effective and timely manner because the trust they have in their leader deciding the best course of action. And patience. Having the patience to not only step back and take input from the team members and to make better decisions, but having the patience to take the time out of the day and develop team members in ways that are unique to their learning tendencies. Ian certainly didn't develop these leadership traits overnight. It took Ian years to develop and realize what it takes to be an effective leader. This brings me to my next point in looking at Ian's progression from an inexperienced firefighter to a seasoned veteran. The leadership style early on in Ian's career can best be summed up as an authoritarian leader. He had neither the time nor patience to take input from others and expected those around him to do what he said and not ask questions. As time progressed, he learned it was better to take a democratic approach and take input from his team to decide the best course of action. Ian has a unique job in that it requires his leadership traits to be a dynamic one and depending on the situation. When he is working on calls, he has to take a more authoritarian approach, but still makes efforts to gain input from his team and take a democratic decision. When he's working at the office, his style can best be summed up as servant leadership. He makes great efforts to help teach and train his team to become better leaders and team members. He'll put in the effort to empower others and prefers to find the best way to develop others. When he looks at someone that isn't performing well, he doesn't see them as a liability, but as someone that hasn't found a way to develop their true strengths. He doesn't look at people's failures as someone to admonish, but as a learning experience that his whole team can benefit from. Ian believes that a trait of a good leader is one that can find the true potential in everyone in their group. Just because Ian was able to realize these leadership traits doesn't mean that everyone with his experience has come to the same conclusion. This brings me to my third and final point, the pitfalls of positional leadership. Ian emphasized that trust, communication, and patience doesn't stop the more and more you're promoted. He's seen that many great leaders let their position get to their head and forget what it was that got them in their newfound positions. Some people that were given positional power used it to their personal gain and forgot the negative effects it had on the rest of the team. As their communication broke down with the rest of the team, the trust they once had was lost. This was leaving them with little patience to take input from others and develop the team as a whole. Essentially, the lack of one skill can have a domino effect on the other two. Each skill is essential to being a great leader, regardless of what position you hold. Ian stressed that positional power is something to be very cautious about because it may cause you to forget about these three traits. To conclude, I discussed the three major points with Ian believe were key to being an effective leader. We discussed the three main skills we found critical to being an effective leader, his development as a leader, and how great leadership skills don't happen overnight. And finally, the major pitfall to avoid as a leader. In talking with Ian about his career, it's clear that he's passionate about what he does and takes great pride in what he's been done in developing the next generation of firefighters. Like the servant leadership style, the trust, communication, and patience you have with your team makes all the difference in the world when it comes to being an effective leader that will make an impact on people years after you retire.